Hello, welcome back. Myself Anjita Aravind. Today I am here with your second part of hemostasis, that is the mechanism of blood coagulation. And in this section we are discussing the mechanism behind blood coagulation and the factors which may help to the coagulation of blood. First we will start with the definition of blood coagulation or blood clotting. It is a process by which the blood from its liquid state which may changes into a gel-like consistency. That is, at a normal temperature in a test tube, the blood which may coagulate within 5 to 6 minutes. And it does not clot in the circulation time due to the presence of the heparin. Heparin is an anticoagulant, and this heparin which may keeps the blood as a solution and allowing flow in the blood vessels. And we already said that the coagulation of blood which may occurs through a series of reactions and due to the activation of a group of substances, and these substances are known as the clotting factors. That's why the clotting factors which is involved in the blood clotting processes. That is, the blood clotting is a most powerful hemostatic mechanism of body, and it is a biochemical reaction too, and which is carried out by 13 different blood coagulation clotting factors, and these clotting factors are mentioned on the next table. So here I added the 13 clotting factors which are identified, and under the names I added a easy trick to study or remember these 13 names. That is, the freshers party today, come on let's sing and call the seniors, please have fun. So the each first letters which stands for the 13 clotting factors, though the F which stands for factor 1 fibrinogen, P4 factor 2 prothrombin, and T which stands for the factor 3 thromboblastin or tissue factor, and the factor 4 calcium, and the factor 5 Labelle factor, and the factor 6 the presence has not been proved. That's why after factor 5 there is factor 7. Factor 7 which is S which stands for the stable factor. Factor 8 is antihemophilic factor. Factor 9 Christmas factor, and factor 10 Stewart's Prower factor, and factor 11 plasma thromboblastin antecedents, and factor 12 Hedgeman factor, and factor 13 is fibrin stabilizing factor. So you can easily remember these like the freshers party today, come on let's sing and call seniors, please have fun. You can remember the order of the names by studying this. So now we will discuss the steps of blood clotting. Generally, the blood clotting which occurs in 3 stages. The first is the formation of prothrombin activator, and second conversion of prothrombin into thrombin, and third is the conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin. And now we will discuss the stage 1, that is formation of prothrombin activator. That is, the blood clotting which may starts with the formation of a substance which is called the prothrombin activator. These prothrombin activator which convert the prothrombin into thrombin. That is the second step, conversion of prothrombin into thrombin. So the prothrombin activator formation which may occur either within the blood or outside the blood. Thus, the formation of prothrombin activators occurs through 2 pathways, that is the intrinsic pathway and extrinsic pathway. Next we will discuss what is intrinsic and extrinsic pathway. Here I added the schematic representation of the 3 stages or the steps of the blood clotting formation. So first we will discuss the stage 1, that is the formation of prothrombin activator. So prothrombin activator formation happens in 2 ways, that is the intrinsic pathway and the extrinsic pathway. First we will discuss the intrinsic pathway. So in this pathway, the formation of prothrombin activator is initiated by the platelets which is present within the blood itself. And when we considering the sequence of events which may happens in the intrinsic pathway, you can see that during an injury the blood vessel is ruptured and endothelium is damaged and the collagen beneath the endothelium is exposed. So under the intrinsic pathway you can see that endothelial damage, and due to this endothelial damage the collagen get exposed, and when the factor 12, that is the Hedgeman factor, comes in contact with this exposed collagen, it gets converted into activated factor 12 in the presence of kallikrein and kinogen, and it is noted here that is the factor 12 is activated factor 12 in the presence of the kallikrein and kinogens, and the activated factor 12 convert the factor 11 into activated 11 in the presence of the kinogens, and the activated factor 11 now it activate the factor 9 in the presence of the factor 5. Factor 5 is the calcium, and the activated factor 9 which activate the factor 10 in the presence of factor 8 and calcium. So now the factor 10 get activated, and when we see the pathway, intrinsic pathway, on the right side you can see that the activated it is noted as platelets. That is, when the platelets which may come in contact with this collagen the exposed collagens of the damaged blood vessels, it get activate, and these platelets which may release the phospholipids. So now phospholipid is released and the factor 10 get activated, and now the activated factor 10 it react with the platelet phospholipids at factor 5 to form prothrombin activator. So these activated factor 10 and phospholipids, these two together activate and form the prothrombin activator, and this needs the presence of calcium ions too. And this is the intrinsic pathway. And when we considering the extrinsic pathway, the extrinsic pathway for the formation of prothrombin activator, and in this pathway the formation of prothrombin activator is initiated by the tissue thromboplastin. Tissue thromboplastin is the factor 3, and this tissue thromboplastin which is formed from the injured tissues. When a tissue get injured, the tissue thromboplastin will formed. And when we considering the events in intrinsic pathway, that is the tissue that are damaged during an injury, which may release the tissue thromboplastin. Tissue thromboplastin, that is the factor 3. So now the tissue get a trauma. Under intrinsic pathway you can see that tissue trauma happens and the tissue thromboplastin, that is the factor 3, get released, and the thromboplastin which may contains proteins, phospholipids and glycoproteins, these three which may act as a proteolytic enzymes. And here the glycoprotein and phospholipid, the glycoprotein and the phospholipid components of the thromboplastin which may convert the factor 10 into activated factor 10 in the presence of the factor 7. So here you can see that the tissue thromboplastin, we already said that the tissue thromboplastin which may contain the components such as the proteins, phospholipids and glycoprotein, and here only the glycoprotein and phospholipids, they may convert the factor 10 into activated factor 10 in the presence of factor 7, and the activated factor 10 which may react with the factor 5 and phospholipid component of the tissue thromboplastin to form the prothrombin activator. So the activated factor 10 which may react with the factor 5 and also the phospholipid which is a component of the tissue thromboplastin, and these react together and form the prothrombin activator. So by this intrinsic and extrinsic pathway, the prothrombin activator is get activated. And now the stage 2, that is the conversion of prothrombin to thrombin will happen, and in this image you can see the stage 2 and the stage 3, that is the formation of fibrin, is also noted here, and we will discuss these two stages in the next slide detailed. So now the stage 1 is completed and the second stage will start, that is the conversion of prothrombin into thrombin. Blood clot is all about the formation of thrombin. Once the thrombin is formed, definitely it may lead to the clot formation. And the prothrombin activator, that is formed in the intrinsic and extrinsic pathway, which may convert the prothrombin into thrombin in the presence of the calcium, that is the factor 4. And once the thrombin is formed, it may initiate the formation of more thrombin molecules, and also the factor 5, which in turn accelerates the formation of both the intrinsic and extrinsic prothrombin activator. The prothrombin activator which may convert the prothrombin into thrombin, and the effect of thrombin which is called the positive feedback effect. And So here you can see the positive feedback mechanism of thrombin, which is noted as a red arrow line, and in the stage 2 the prothrombinase in the presence of calcium, which may convert the prothrombin to thrombin at the surface of the platelets. As a result, the platelet plug at the site of injury may starts. So this is the stage 2, and here you can also see the stage 3, that is the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. So the formed thrombin, which may act as a proteolytic enzyme, and it help in the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin. So it happens in 3 stages, and the 3 stages are: in the first stage, the thrombin, which may act as a proteolytic enzyme and convert the fibrinogen to fibrin monomer. So here you can see that the conversion of fibrinogen to fibrinogen A, or otherwise known as the fibrin monomer. And in the step 2, the fibrin monomer, which may polymerizes with other monomer molecules and form a loosely arranged strands of fibrin. So in the second step, the polymerization of the fibrinogen happens and it may formed into a loose strands of fibrin. And in the step 3, at the later, these loose strands are modified into a dense and tight fibrin threads by the fibrin stabilizing factor, that is a factor 8, at the presence of the calcium ions. So all the tight fibrin threads are arranged to form a meshwork of stable clot. So at last of the 3 stages, the fibrin tight blood clot is formed. So this is the stage 3, that is the formation of fibrinogen to fibrin. So this is all about the steps of blood coagulation or the blood clotting formations. And here I added the explanation of the stage 3, that is the conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin. It's 3 stages, that is the conversion of fibrinogen into fibrin monomers and the polymerization of the fibrin molecules and the clot formation by the help of the fibrin stabilizing factor in the presence of the calcium ions. So that's all about the blood coagulation process, that is the blood clotting mechanism. And now we completed the blood coagulation mechanism in an easiest way. And that's all about today's session. On the next session, we will meet up with a new topic. Till then, bye bye. Take care.